You know what's kind of funny is when I was younger, I always worked a classic 9 to 5 job. And when I was doing that, I didn't really think about the idea that I could do my own thing. I mean, the idea obviously existed, but I didn't think I was going to do it, I guess. I kind of, I don't know, didn't know what I was going to do, so I didn't think that I could do it. But it's interesting now to look back and realize that I used to do this thing where if I had even maybe the smallest excuse of some reason why I shouldn't go to work that day, then I made it into the biggest reason why I shouldn't go to work. I knew that I didn't want to work for someone back then, or I knew that I hated that type of work. But at the same time, I also knew that I needed money for things because that is how this world works. You need money. But I knew I didn't want to do that. But the other funny thing is, as you've probably seen from the title of this video, is that when you leave the corporate world to regain your happiness, you also take on the new afflictions of pain and suffering. And if you started your own business, or you're trying to be a YouTuber, or you do anything that is solo by yourself and you don't work for somebody, then I'm sure you understand what I mean. It especially lies in the financial department. Getting started, that really sucks. But it also lies in the stress aspect of starting your own thing, doing your own thing. Stress comes in the form of complications, annoyances, things that are hard to do, things that are hard to learn. And since starting my business 2 years ago, I've learned all those things that exists. This world is pain, suffering, and unbelievable happiness. Happiness to not be a slave to someone else's baby. Obviously, by baby, I mean business. Now, look, I did say that in a very malicious way, but I'm not trying to put down anyone who does work for someone because it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just that people like me, people like us, we can't handle that type of thing because we're just built differently. We're not built to follow something, if you know what I mean. I really hope I don't upset anyone by the way that I'm speaking about this because I genuinely don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean that people who go and do stuff and work for someone and do a 9 to 5, that's a different kind of existence, if you know what I mean. You probably don't know what I mean. What I mean is that doing a 9 to 5 in this world that we live in, it's having financial security. That is something that a lot of people strive for. They want to have financial security. And that is the reason, even if you don't like it, that is the reason to go with a 9 to 5 job. But for me, or us, I'm sure you clicked on this because you probably have the same mindset as me. For us, we can't handle doing that even though it's financial freedom. Well, it's not financial freedom, it's financial security. But even though it's financial security, we don't care about that. We care about mental freedom and physical freedom. That is our biggest drivers, I think, or one of the some of the biggest drivers. Not having to go somewhere at a specific time, not having to do something that someone tells you to do, not having to be stuck somewhere at a I'm saying it in a negative way because it's from my perspective. It's not negative. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. It's just it comes out negative because we don't like this. It's funny because when I say we, there's literally no one here. I know there's no one here, but I'm just assuming that someone watching this is like me. But when I say we here with myself, I'm just thinking I'm coming across like I have multiple personalities in my head, and they're all like the same type of person, if you know what I mean. So, well, that's yeah, I don't know what I'm saying about that. So, yeah, you get what I mean, like being having to stay at a business place, like a business address. It sounds weird the way I'm saying it, but like say you work at a shop. You have to be at the shop from 8 to 5 all day. You have to be there. And you have to have lunch there because you have to stay there until 5 p.m. So you start at 8 and you have lunch at like 1 or 12 or something like that. Then you still have to stay there even though you might have an hour break. You still have to stay there at the store for another 4 hours after that. That is your job, that you're required to do that because they need someone at the store. You can't even do this thing anymore, which you could in the past, where you could take your lunch break at the very end of the day, so you could technically leave early, like an hour early, depending on how long your lunch was. Nowadays, employers expect you to be at the specified location at their store the entire period for which you were contracted to work that day or scheduled. You're probably not an independent contractor if you're working for somebody for 9 to 5. Those things really suck for people like us. We hate that. We cannot we I should just say I hate that type of thing. Like having to be stuck somewhere, it's in the negative, but having to be stuck somewhere, having to stay somewhere for an extended period of time just for the reason of working for that company to make that company money. You're still making money yourself, but you're also making that company money by staying there. And that's your scheduled shift. And scheduled shifts, they also suck. I hate those too. I hate scheduled shifts. I hate having to be somewhere that is not on my terms. I just hate things being dictated to me for the way that I should be living my life. But in that type of or line of work, the stress is normally way less. I say that because there are some jobs that are very stressful and you're still working for someone. Even higher paying jobs, for example, maybe a doctor is not a contractor, works for the hospital or something like that. That's probably not how it works. I don't know how doctors work. Maybe they are contractors, but I don't imagine they are. So that's what I mean. Like you choose you choose the pain and the suffering of owning your own company, owning your own business, doing your own thing over a 9 to 5 that has financial security and less stress. You'd pick that, or well, I'd pick that any day of the week. Every time I'd pick that direction because even though there's pain and suffering in that, there is a level of unlimited happiness for me in there. And I think a lot of people don't realize that type of thing. They don't realize the effect that being away from the corporate world has on certain people. And also, they definitely don't realize the effect that those people being what the effect of being in a corporate world for those people has on those people, if that makes sense. Like the effect of me having to work a corporate job, that is absolute torture. That is torture for me. And I really do not enjoy that. Well, who would really enjoy torture? That's why it's called torture, I guess. Yes. Well, that is the path I've chosen. That is the path that I will always choose. This video is kind of meant to be inspiration for people who can relate to this because I know it's hard and everyone knows. Everyone that does this knows it's hard. It's hard to be self-employed in a world that is designed for people to go into 9 to 5 jobs. And I say that meaning that this is a little bit more recent. And it's because there are powers at work behind the scenes, these big corporate companies that want to keep everyone oppressed. And I'm not trying to get into any sort of conspiracy type of thing. I just mean that in the now, these companies are already huge. So it's kind of hard to compete with them. And then you just kind of, some people do the whole caving thing and they'll just go back to work. They'll do a 9 to 5. And that's fine. If you can handle it, that's fine. The world is designed to be like that right now. Maybe in the future it's going to change. It won't be like this anymore. But right now, it is designed for you to go and work for someone because there are already so many huge companies out there that have people working for them, and it just looks like an obvious choice from the outside. These companies promise financial security and people will take it. But like I said, that's not us. That's definitely not me. If you're deciding whether you should leave your corporate job and go do something else, and what I'm describing to you, the personality type, sounds like you, then you're probably never going to be happy in the corporate world. It's just a fact. So I'd urge you to push yourself, because that's what I had to do for myself. I had to push myself pretty hard, because I get it. It's scary to go and start something new. It's so scary. It's so scary. The fear of failing is a major factor. I'm not going to lie. For the longest time, I wouldn't really even talk about my company publicly. I would just write things about it. I made it exist. I did that at least. But only recently I've ever been posting on social media about it because of fear. Putting your thing out into the world, you freak out and think, is anyone actually going to like this? So yeah, if you're feeling like this, just push yourself. You got to do it. And if it makes it easier, stay in your corporate job while you push yourself to do this. If you feel that you can't do what you want to do while in the corporate job, then don't go crazy with yourself. Just save up enough money, find a moment where you can leave that corporate job and then push really hard to get what you want to get done in that period where you're not working for anyone. You're just doing your own thing. Do your own thing. Push yourself and try and do it. That is my advice for you.